Get safe at home and please keep a social distance. It is I, your friendly neighborhood Rabbi John Carrier, and I'm here today for the Jewcurious Show Fun Friday Safer at Home edition. In just a moment, let's see. I need some hold music. It's with the music that's on my mind. Actually, this is the question of the day. What's your pandemic playlist? I'm thinking a certain REM song that I don't want to name right now, but also Tupac's California Love. And it's only fair that you see my face, such it is as it is. We're going to play Zelda in just a minute, but right now let's just chat. So, welcome to the Jewcurious Show, Fun Friday edition. I hope you can hear the sound of my voice and see the sweat on my face. It has been kind of a morning. Got up pretty early this morning. Went to the bank. Not, let's say I'm not panicked. I shared this with my wife a couple of weeks ago. Honey, just to be clear, we're not. It's not time to panic. But it is time to be serious and make sure that we are prepared for the long haul, and make sure that we have just enough of what we need, just enough of what our children need, and and also a little bit to share with family and friends in the area. But right now, I want to spend a little time with my Jewcurious online fam. I'm seeing the family from Colorado, Diwalexin, Shalom Lukulam, peace upon everyone. And Nawa 64, speaking my language, shalom y'all. So good to see you guys here. Sorry you missed the live class in the Jewcurious school yesterday. I do want to get that recording up, as well as some backlog of recordings that I have. But just so you know, we're fine. People have been asking. We're fine. We're all healthy. We have the wonderful event of two professionals working at home, still with actually probably more busy than either of us have ever been in our lives because of the different responsibilities that we have, and two kids who are off of school. And I have to tell you, the kids are doing great. The kids have been amazing. The kids are very media savvy slash addicted. And hi over there. Nice to see you. Thank you for letting me borrow your computer to do this. I appreciate that. So I'm actually borrowing my daughter's computer and hogging the family game console today. So she has politely decided to read a book and make a face. So, but the kids are doing great. They're enjoying an extra week of spring break, as it were, and being very creative in the process. Have been helping with cooking and doing all sorts of great stuff. We don't know what's going to happen after our extended spring break is over, but we'll meet it as a family with love. So let's see. We got Kay Dixie in the house. Hello, friends. Trig will be with us, but a little bit late. I was a little bit late myself. So as I was saying this morning, I got up early, mostly just to see when the different grocery stores were opening. So went around to the different stores locally, just to check out their policies. Their websites aren't updating that fast, so wanted to check the signs on the doors and when I should plan to be there for things. And went to the bank just to make sure all is well, and all is for now, and that's cool. So just went to a couple of different stores. Cambridge Farms. I'm going to give a shout out to my friends at Cambridge Farms, a wonderful kosher grocery store in Valley Village, here in the Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley area. It is the most chill I have ever seen Cambridge Farms. Of course, I was there at 6:30 a.m. and plenty of supplies. Not a lot of paper good. Well, let me take that back. There's a lot of disposable plates and things. They are beginning their preparations for Passover. And Passover, a lot of people, because they have an abnormal number of people over to their house. We'll see how that goes. An abnormal number of people at their house. They have lots of like plasticware and disposable plates and things like that. Lots of things that they're putting out. Plenty of matzah. As of this morning, plenty of matzah at Cambridge Farms, so don't sweat that. I got, the good size box, but not two good size boxes. I get the good size box that I get every year, so I'm not hoarding matzah or anything. If anybody needs matzah and you are accessible to the Burbank, Glendale, Valley Village area, please give me a shout. Let's see. Dave Alexis talking about books. Books are adventure. They contain murder and mayhem and passion. They love anyone who opens them. I think that's wonderful. My daughter's is smiling for the first time this morning, so that's nice to see. I have a silent partner over here. So went to Cambridge Farms, got a couple of chickens for Shabbos, got some necessities. Went to Smart and Final, waited in a little bit of line there, but that was okay, and everything went smoothly. Everybody was polite, everybody was sort of maintaining their personal bubble, but everybody was super polite. And I have to tell you, I'm pretty sure in the year 2020, when Time Magazine picks their Person of the Year, it's going to be a grocery store checker. That's the bet that I'm making right now. I don't encourage gambling, but if I were a betting person, I would say that the Time Person of the Year will be a grocery store checker, given all the chaos that they have to deal with. Somebody pointed out on the Facebook that the heroes right now are just the people who are at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to economic opportunity and wages and things like that. Healthcare workers, especially frontline healthcare workers, home caregivers, people who work in food service at large institutions. All these folks are just heroes in my book. They are all working so hard. They're working when everybody else is trying to stay home and stay safe. They're showing up and helping out the people that they care for. I feel really privileged that my parents are in a place in kind of a retirement community that full service, independent living, but full service with medical care and food service and things like that. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that a lot of people in my Pasadena community have the same kind of living situation where I did this little exercise. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I'm pretty jacked on caffeine right now, if you can imagine. If you can imagine. I did this little exercise when things were starting to look pretty serious, and I wish it didn't take me this long to do it, but it was the time to do it. Certainly, I managed to get a database of our entire membership, every person who belongs to our synagogue and their kids, because usually I like to send out birthday cards to people, so I get the list of birthdays. But I said, hey, give me the birthday list for the whole year. And then I sorted it by age to see what the age demographic was at our place. And something like, at our synagogue, something like a quarter of the people are 65 and over. And about a fifth of the households in our community are seniors living alone. And that startled me. At first I thought the percentage of 65 and over would be higher, but it turns out we've got a great youth demographic in addition to a great senior demographic. But it was also starting to learn that in our community, the people that I'm responsible for, not just me, we have a great team, but there's over 100 seniors living by themselves right now. And so started calling on those folks, and the vast majority of them live in some sort of assisted living or independent living place where their needs are met, they are secure, they're screening visitors like you wouldn't believe, or maybe you would believe, their meals are provided for, so these places have the hookups with the industrial food suppliers, they have access to on-the-spot medical care, so really, really grateful that those services exist. And big ups to the people, the human beings who make those services run, from the administrative level all the way to the people who are putting on gloves and taking care of folks. So I will share that my mom says they are drowning in styrofoam. So the good news is, a lot of carbon emissions aren't going to happen that were going to happen otherwise. The bad news is when they're bringing all this food to my parents in their dwelling, they're bringing it to them because they're shutting down the dining halls. They're bringing them all their meals packed in styrofoam, and my mom says they are just drowning in it. There's just like styrofoam everywhere, just faster than they can get it, thrown in the trash. And so I said, well, look at it this way: if there's a flood, you can make a raft if you need to. That stuff will last forever. So unfortunately, things are kind of topsy-turvy. Long story short, went to the grocery store, got back, had to unload all the perishables, and then hop online to hang out with you folks. I can't imagine a better group of people to spend this moment with than my family here at home. lots and lots of Zoom connections with my colleagues and friends at the synagogue, and this Jewcurious group right here. We have Speaker AJ in the house at Shabbat Shalom. Kay Dixie says yes, it's tough for many working on the ground level. I want to give a special shout out to my Californians in the house. Kay Dixie, I see you right there. And sometimes Naya Shashi comes on. That's Ruthie. She lives not too far away from us. And who are my other Californians? Sometimes Christina's here, or Christy from San Bernardino. Haven't seen her in a while, but so special shout out to my fellow Californians. Can I say that? You guys know I'm a Texan by birth, but this summer I will have lived in California longer than any other place I've lived. So I feel like maybe I'll have a little party. Maybe we can share that over live streaming and keep our distance. But I feel in my heart, after being a native son of the Republic of Texas, I am a naturalized Californian. And right now, what we're dealing with, and we're sort of not complaining, not bragging, just happens to be the first statewide organized government order to stay at home. And so that's been in the news this morning. The California, the first thing that happened is I turned on the 5 o'clock news, and I was like, I'm going to watch the 5 o'clock news. It's not 5 o'clock yet, but I'll go ahead and turn it on. And Mayor Garcetti of Los Angeles was already on the TV, and there were other people. I'm like, is that Terry? What's Terry doing there? Terry Tornick, the mayor of Pasadena, who I often see at my synagogue, it was also there on the bima, as it were, and the mayor of Long Beach. And Kathleen Barger, I'm not sure how you say her last name. She's our county supervisor. We're all there announcing a LA County-wide Safer at Home initiative. Which, if you're hearing about this for the first time from me, you should probably watch the news. That's much more reliable than I am. I wasn't here till 9:15 after all. But the mayor and several mayors and the county supervisor were announcing this plan that for the next 30 days, started midnight last night. It's going to go through April 19th for the entire LA County. That was the first announcement. Later on, like within an hour or two, Governor Newsom came on and said, "Up, same, ditto for the rest of the state of California." But at least in LA County, the order that I heard was everybody stay at home. All businesses that are not among a short list of essential businesses should be closed. And the essential things, they're talking about food, they're talking about medicine, restaurants open for takeout but not for dining in, places you get food. Interestingly, cannabis dispensaries is on that list. It's either, because I figured it's either food or it's medicine, but that was on the list of places because a lot of people get medicine for serious medical conditions at these cannabis dispensaries. And I don't want to make jokes at a time like this, but have you met me? I'm not going to say it's not important right now for people to just chill out. And so maybe that'll help, but also more importantly, it's for the people who have medical needs that use that for that. Hair salons. That was interesting to me. Hair salons and nail salons are on the list of places that are open. I think we all want to feel well groomed in this time, especially a lot of people are starting to look pretty raggedy working from home. I'm going to confess, I could probably use a haircut. But see, we got don't forget hands-on trade like hairdressers there and there as well. So and gosh, all the more so. I don't know, but these are also people who like grocery checkers and kind of the frontline healthcare workers. Not a lot of money in that game, right? And so these are people who are living paycheck to paycheck. Not only these people, a lot of people who are living paycheck to paycheck that are going to be suffering from this month-long shutdown of the economy of California, essentially. We have a lot of friends here who are in the, let's say, entertainment business, actors, musicians, singers. My wife sings professionally. She does gigs for synagogue. She even sings in a church on a regular basis as a ringer in their choir. So she sings, and fortunately or unfortunately, she sings at places that are staying open in some respect, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so she's kind of has the option to go to the church that she sings at or not. And so that pastor is wrestling with the decision as to whether to remain open. I've wrestled with this decision with my team in the synagogue where I work in Pasadena. I can share more details on that in a minute. Triggers and Bibs shares she'll be out of work until April 1st. Let's see what else is going on. Don't forget hands on trade like hairdressers. Our hair and nail salons are closed in PA. We're all going to be wearing hats soon. We aren't Rabbi. I don't know if I guess I missed that. What I said that you're responding, we aren't too. But so that's it. that's a lot. So there's a lot of people who are out of work right now. In California, people are sort of ordered to be out of work right now. Government agencies are talking about various means for keeping people alive, keeping people supported, keeping people whole. I just heard that tax filing deadline, usually April 15th, has been extended till July 15th. There's talks about various direct relief measures, like people getting checks from the government so that they can buy essentials while they're out of work. So it's a time. It's a scary time for a lot of people, and I'll tell you again, not to brag, not to complain. I've literally never been busier in my entire working life than I have been in the last week. So it's just, and a lot of it has been in meetings, just trying to decide what to do next and what's the best move for people. As it is, so your Malowitz is saying, dear friends, please be extremely careful. I'm far away from panicking, but please stay home and really take care of yourselves. I see how this spreads in Europe. My close friend got infected and the situation is very serious. So thanks for that. This is our friend, your Malowitz from Poland, I believe, giving us a peep on the ground right there. But as I was saying, in our synagogue at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, we have, first off, not this week, but last week, decisions around how to respond to this as a community swallowed up the week. And I thought, man, this whole week got swallowed up. Hadn't seen nothing yet. We spent the entirety of last week making plans. Finally, on Thursday, got some decisions made between our staff and our executive board, and volunteers and lay leaders. And then Monday came, and all those plans were smart, and then needed to be turned up to 11. And so we've been meeting as a whole staff, along with some lay leaders, have been meeting every single day via Zoom because we've closed the property for regular traffic, let's say. And that meant canceling a lot of big events. That meant canceling fundraisers. And it's a lot of synagogues are in this boat where they had major fundraisers that helped keep them afloat for the year that had to be canceled. And I mean, and again, not to complain, because our members are facing various cancellation in their line of work, but all sorts of things have been canceled. The things that we've been able to do, we have a couple of classes that we're teaching, a couple of adult ed classes, an adult B'nai Mitzvah class, and a Miller Introduction to Judaism class that were ongoing. Those have been moved to Zoom successfully, at least for the first week. All of our staff meetings are now via Zoom. People are off the property except for a couple of guys in the custodial crew who come and take care of things as needed. But all sorts of other meetings are canceled. We have a religious school for children, let's say K through grade 8, and that is still open, kind of, in the sense that we don't have kids coming in for classes, but our teachers are staying busy. What we have, a lot of our curriculum is resources that can be found online, and so we're forwarding those resources to families, asking families to learn with their kids, and the teachers are still fully employed, checking in with every single family individually on the same schedule that they would have had the kids. So if there was if a kid was going 1 day a week, little kids usually go 1 day a week. Teachers checking in with that family once a week. Bigger kids going twice a week, teachers checking in with the family twice a week, just to make sure the kids' learning stays on track. I know a lot of schools are like public, all day schools are in this boat right now. What Burbank did, we were going to have spring break next week. They just said, hey, let's have spring break a week early. Kids are off, no responsibilities for 2 weeks. I think this week's the teachers still came in to plan for what was coming next, and after these 2 weeks, we're probably going to be receiving materials for online learning, with our kids. And so the teachers have had to figure that stuff out. That's just the situation on the ground. And so the final big decision that was probably that we've revisited several times is that at Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center, we are not locking the door for services. However, the cantor and I are going to show up and do services. We've had the ability to live stream for a while, and we just immediately made the decision we're going to live stream every service from now on, every Friday night service, 7:30 Pacific time, and every Saturday morning service, 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So the cantor and I will be there leading services, and you'll be able to watch that on video. I know Kathy was able to share a link before. If you want to share a link in the chat, that would be great. And so, if somebody can find the link, if you're on the PJTC email list, we're announcing the way to come into our live streams. So Nawa 64, we're looking forward to PJTC live streaming. So we're live streaming all of our services. We sent the message out like, okay, here's the deal. Don't come. Please don't come. If you can avoid it at all possible. If you're 65 and over, please don't come. If you have access to anybody who's 65 or over, please don't come. If you have any kind of symptoms or are in contact with someone who does, definitely don't come. But we made the decision that, and synagogues are kind of all over the map on this one. A lot of places are just shutting down entirely. Some places are live streaming only, but there are a few synagogues here in Los Angeles where it's like, look, if we're going to be open to you if you show up. There's some folks, I know a couple of people in my community in particular, are so isolated that if they didn't at least see the faces of other people in their Jewish community once a week, they would just go bananas. So what we're saying is, if you're going to come, we're not going to chase you away. We expect you to follow all the recommended health protocols. And I'm really hoping we have 10 or fewer people there. I've never said this about synagogue life before. I've spent most of my rabbi career trying to get more people to come to services and sit closer together. It's like the people who do come, I'm like, hey, it's a big room, we're spread out, sit closer together. It sounds better that way, it feels better that way. And now it's like, no, just kidding, take it back for now. And last week we had, I'm going to say maybe 10 people come to Friday night services and maybe 15 or 20 come to Saturday morning services in a room that holds like 300 people. And so people were smartly spread out. But we're saying, if you're going to come, we're not going to chase you away, but you do need to make sure you're sitting far apart from people. You do need to make sure you're washing your hands frequently. We've got, I hesitate to say this because I don't want to run on it, but we've got Purell dispensers. We've got hand soap in the bathrooms. So make sure you're taking all precautions, keeping a social distance from folks, and we're there to serve you. So that's what's up at PJTC. People might want to share different things that their synagogues are doing. Let's see. People are talking about kind of the economic situation. Some KG Wilcox saying it's probably illegal to fire people because of this crisis. And that may be true. We're going to see what all that stuff happens. I mean, there are people who are shift workers who kind of work on demand, and demand is going to be lower. And so Triggers and Viv is talking about getting unemployment. Let's see, what was the topic of the link again? Okay, thank you, Kay Dixie. If you can find the link, I'm always bad at finding this, and you're always awesome at finding this. If you can find a link that we use for the PJTC live streaming services and you want to drop that in the chat, that would be amazing, and I'd be very grateful. So find that. Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center is on YouTube. We are on YouTube. We haven't taken full advantage of that yet. We will be very soon. Triggers and Viv, who lives in Washington, which is one of an early epicenter of our experience with this in America, says, what I have witnessed is a lot of people are either panicking and jumping to conclusions and accusing many of doing the things they aren't. That's true. I think so far people have been pretty polite in California. I'll say in my personal experience. I live in Burbank. I live in a very polite place. This is when people talk about Burbank, they often use the word Mayberry. When I first moved here, so when I first moved here, did I change it? I don't know. But so people are being by and large polite and supportive of one another. Let's see. Yermolowitz says some congregations put ribbons across every other pew for spacing. That's pretty wise. Let's see. KG Wilcox has a great question I'm going to come back to in just a second. Yermolowitz says if this information hasn't reached you yet, 50 to 75% of infected people have no symptoms at the same time they are able to infect others. Replication period is longer than 14 days. Some sources say it's up to 28 days. And so, thanks for that. People, it surprises me a little. We're still learning new things about this virus. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. I'm not a doctor, but we're still learning things. Assumptions are changing on a daily or weekly basis in terms of, okay, some people feel like, oh, if I'm not 65 or older, it's not going to hurt me. If I don't have any underlying health issues, it's not going to hurt me. A huge plurality of the cases that are out there in America now are people under 65. So we're learning new things. We're learning about how it spreads, aerosol versus droplets and other gooey things like that. I want to go to a question or a question or comment that KG Wilcox had about Kaddish. So there is a principle in Jewish practice that there are certain prayers that you only say when you have what's called a minyan or a minyan. I like to say minyan. I usually say minyan, but it always makes me think of that cartoon character that's kind of shaped like a Twinkie with an eyeball. It's not a minion. M-I-N-O-N, M-I-N-I-O-N. It's M-I-N-Y-A-N. That's in Hebrew it's mem nun yud nun sofit. It means quorum. And so in Jewish practice, in the practice of Jewish prayer, there are certain prayers that we typically only say when you have a quorum of adult Jews present. And some people only count men in that quorum. I've always been a part of egalitarian communities that count women as well, but they have to be adults and they have to be Jewish. And so now people are concerned that we're not having access to synagogues. We shouldn't be in groups of 10 or more people or more than 10 people. And among these prayers, they include the Baruch Hu, which is a call to prayer at the beginning of the Kriyat Shema service, and also in the morning and in the evening. There is an out loud repetition of the Amidah is often only done with a minyan. Torah reading in public is often only done with a minyan. But the one that's sort of closest to people's heart is Kaddish or Kaddish, specifically the mourner's Kaddish, the Kaddishaton, because this is a practice that we've had for a long time. That people who are in mourning for an immediate family member, either parent, sibling, child, God forbid, or a spouse, are required in Jewish tradition and Jewish law to say this prayer every day for a certain period of time after the person is buried. And for parents, if you're mourning a parent, that period is 11 months. Every day for 11 months we say this prayer. If it's another first order relative like a child or a sibling or a spouse, you say it for 30 days typically. And that's our bread maker going off. We're facing the crisis with colonial skills. So that's going to get annoying after a while. Okay, good, it stopped. So people feel this obligation to say this prayer for an extended period of time, and it's a prayer that's usually only said in a group of 10 people. And I love what Rabbi Ed Feinstein teaches about this. Is that we're not putting this obligation on mourners to say Kaddish in a minyan because a mourner needs more work to do, right? You're already holding enough. We make that a requirement for them to say Kaddish in a minyan because it makes the rest of us show up for them, right? It makes the rest of us, whether it's to their house or whether it's to show up for services where we know somebody's going to be saying Kaddish. This is an obligation not just on the person. It's sort of stated as an obligation on the person, but it's really an obligation for the rest of the community to surround them with love and support at a time of grief. And if anything, the requirement on the mourner is to maybe cue them to the fact that yes, when you're in mourning, sometimes and when you're dark, when you're in a dark, depressing place, you feel like your instinct is to be alone, is to kind of shut up in your house or just avoid people and sit with your grief. But it's the wisdom of the tradition that says yes, even though you feel that way, you're probably better off if you have people around. And so this is the basis of the custom for saying Kaddish in a minyan. What K.G. Wilcox is referring to is this statement that's gone out from a number of rabbinic authorities across the halakhic spectrum, from Reform to Conservative to Orthodox, are saying this is what the rabbis call a shat hadachak, a time of exigency. Right? There's the ideal way to do mitzvot. There's the ideal way to keep the commandments. There's the ideal way to follow our traditions and our customs and our communities. And there is a kind of hesed, a kind of mercy in the law for those who are in a difficult situation, like we all are, right? If you're traveling through the desert and there's no food anywhere, and the only food, like you're about to die if you don't have a meal right now, and somebody offers you a ham sandwich, eat the sandwich, right? That is a sha'at hadachak. That's saving a life. But not just life-saving measures, just situations where it's not where the ideal environment doesn't pertain. Do the best you can with what you've got. And so multiple rabbinic authorities and this rabbinic authority right here, if that means anything to you, are saying, like, if you need to say Kaddish by yourself, it's okay to say Kaddish by yourself. Better if you can say Kaddish on the phone with somebody, right? And for years and for decades, rabbis have said, no, you can't say Kaddish on a conference call, right? That doesn't count. But now folks are changing their tune. And maybe that's not a permanent relaxation, but right now, if you need to make minyan over Zoom, if you need to make minyan, and I say Zoom a lot because that's what we use, if you need to make a minyan over Zoom or Skype or on a speakerphone, you do what you need to do, right? This is a time where we should be using our traditions to bind together, which I don't think that's different. I think we've always used our traditions to bind together. I think the requirement for a minyan was to bind people together. Now we are challenged to bind together in a different way. And so if somebody needs to say a prayer, they're concerned about making a minyan, let me take that burden off of you, if I may. This isn't a time for us to feel guilty about doing the best we can. And I said, I said to people the other day who were at a funeral, just had my first funeral this past Wednesday in this environment, not a COVID case, just a person who lived a very long time and passed away last week. And they were concerned about Kaddish and not having a minyan because the funeral, this was the strangest funeral I've ever been to. I'm not saying that to judge them or the family, I don't want to make them feel bad, but for me it was a strange experience where it was me and a cantor and like 6 or 7 people. It was like the three, it was like a sister and the 3 children and the spouse and a partner. It was like 6 people in the audience, as it were, 6 mourners present, and me and the cantor. That makes 8. And it was live streamed. So the deceased was the oldest of 3 sisters. I think she was 84. That's how long my grandmother lived. But she was 84, and one of her sisters was there, and one sister was there through live streaming. The funeral home made a live stream available, and so her other sister watched the service from Edinburgh. And I got a note from another friend of hers who was watching the funeral from Fiji, right? That the island, not the water, the island on the opposite far end of the world. He was able to be present for this funeral, and so the people said, what about minyan? Are we going to get in trouble or have some sort of divine judgment for not making minyan? If we say Kaddish, I'm going to say, first off, the funeral director assures me that because there's a fence around the property, it's considered one space, and there are probably 10 Jews in the property at this time. But I said, look, if anything goes wrong, anything at all that's out of ordinary, guys, that's what Yom Kippur is for. And I think that there's going to be a lot of mercy shown to us by the Holy One this Yom Kippur for hard decisions that we have to make. That doesn't mean it's game on. We still have a lot of great rules in this tradition that actually help us get through things like this, like Jewish mourning practices, like the push to take care of each other. So those things haven't changed. And that's been part of the challenge of the last week, is just saying, okay, what are the values that we have that are unchanging? Even as we have to change some practical things about the way we do things, how we do services, how we have classes and meetings or don't have classes and meetings. But the things that don't change is that our core principle is to show up for each other in times of need. And so in our community, and this wasn't me, this was just people stepping up to the plate. We had our great youth director organize. As soon as they announced that the schools were shut down, the youth director organized like a babysitting exchange. All these teens that are out of school, who are babysitting age and qualification, to watch all of these littles who are out of school, and their parents are working from home or working, I don't know, in a hospital or something. So somebody stepped up and did that. Somebody else stepped up and said, hey, we have a caring committee that cares for people in need. Who on this caring committee wants to help me grocery shop for people who can't get to the store? And immediately, like that, like 10 people made minion right away. Like 10 people stepped up, and probably more since, said, we're going to go grocery shopping for people. And so now I'm able to, as I'm calling and checking in on people, mostly finding people well taken care of. Well, I'll say so far exclusively finding people who are in a safe place and well taken care of, well provisioned. Their kids are checking on them, or they're in a place where they're well cared for. But I get to say, because of the bravery and the commitment and the heart of the people in my community, that look, yes, you're taken care of now. If something should come up and there's some sort of essential you need, call us, and we will take care of that for you. So that's what I've loved to see is how people have supported each other in this time. I know it's early days. I know supplies are going to get low. I know patience is going to wear thin. I know trust is going to wear thin. I'm not trying to forecast doom, but the longer you have a stressful, uncertain situation, the more trust kind of wears away. And so that's going to be our challenge, is maintaining that trust, maintaining that kindness, not letting this get the best of us, but really show what the best of us is on an ongoing basis for a long period of time. That's going to be challenging, folks. So I know I've been preaching for a while. I want to go back to I want to go back to the chat a little bit, see what I've missed while I've been jibber jabbering, and at least play a little bit of Zelda before I run back to get in line for a store. So let's see. Your Malowitz says, dear friends, he's talking about good stuff. Michael Pacheco 92 says, I'm trying to turn into a productive quarantine. Broke out my first Hebrew primer. That's a good book. I have one of I don't know if it's on my shelf here or in my office. So now, before I was thinking, okay, pretty soon, God willing, I'll be able to take all my personal rabbi books and move them to my office. But now I'm like, man, I wish I hadn't left all those books in my office. So I'm going to bring those home, and then God willing, I'll be able to take my whole library to my office soon, and my roommate, coworker, partner in this will be grateful that I don't have so many books around the house. So Michael says, I'm turning, but I don't know, that was a digression. So Michael Pacheco says, I'm turning into a productive quarantine, broke out my first Hebrew primer, found someone to practice my Spanish with, watched more Netflix this week than I usually do in a month. That's true. As somebody posted on Facebook last week, we've had quite a year this week. So that was cute. Naya Shashi says, I have to work. I know Naya Shashi is in an essential industry. God bless you. I don't have words. Like you have to face. Yeah, I know you. I know you have to face a lot. I know you got a lot of people to care for, and I know you're doing critically important work right now. And just my prayers, my heart goes with you every day. So take that for what it's worth. But you're doing God's work right now. You really are. So thank you for that. Triggers and Viv says, I think it's a state government call to have restrictions on certain businesses. That's true. My understanding is that it's an order by the state right now in California. They're not, let's say, policing it. in terms of it's sort of up to businesses to follow this order at this time, and I hope they do because the police officers and first responders of all kinds have enough to deal with right now. So I hope businesses comply with this. Uh, but right now, it's the state government is shutting down business. L.A. County has the authority to do that. L.A. City shut down gyms, and then Burbank shut down gyms, and then and that's been driving a couple of us batty here because we need that gym time to stay sane. So doing some push-ups at home, making a jog around the block in fresh air. The air's been really good. I'll say that. Now 64 says friends in Spain are unable to leave home without papers except for grocery or pharmacy out of fear of arrest. So we are in California. We're not there yet. Touch wood. So Triggers and Biff says the state of Washington has closed all hands-on trades, non-essential. KG Wilcox, Nyashashi, says Nyashashi, I'm at work too. I really, really need to get remote connections working. K Dixie, Long Beach School District fired everyone age 65 or over because it was too risky for them to be at school. Oh my goodness, that's how they dealt with it. Triggers and Biff says, and can I just say, call your creditors, landlords, utility companies, and they will more than likely help you. That is a good tip. I know that they're making, the state authority. I heard Maxine Waters on the radio this morning. The different government levels and organizations and agencies and officials are leaning on debt collectors, are leaning on loan holders, whether it's your mortgage, your student loan, credit cards, what have you, encouraging them to be lenient. I think as Triggers of Viv is saying, if you take that first step, if you can get through on the phone, if you take that first step, that's going to hold you in good stead. KG Wilcox says, I think it's not legal to fire women based solely on age, even in a crisis. Yeah, people do the illegal stuff all the time. Did I just say that? It happens. Let's see. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying we're all kind of trying to figure this out. Let's see. All I can... just looking in the chat here, it's going fast and furious. Let's see. Triggers and Biv says, all I can think of is Gomer Pyle, citizens arrest, lol. Washington hairdressers are vicious. So this was something that has been on the news, and commentators saying like somebody called in. We have this great radio station. I think it's KPCC, run out of Pasadena City College, public radio station. Amazing daily call-in show host Larry Mantle. Got to meet him. He spoke at our synagogue a couple of months ago, and just a real mensch. And the funny thing is, when people call into his show, they often assume he's Jewish, and he's not. He's like, I think he's an Episcopalian or something. But he said, but he was speaking to a synagogue, and he's like, it's funny. People often think I'm Jewish just because he has this sort of this manner, and he's very educated. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to play into any stereotypes, but he's a mensch. That's all I can say. He's just a great human being. Really gentle with people, but really smart, asks hard questions. And his call-in show has been wall-to-wall COVID-19. And somebody called in to the show, I don't know, maybe this morning or yesterday, late last night, saying, what do I do if I see somebody not keeping a social distance? What do I do if I see a business that's open? Who do I call? And he was saying to them, why don't you tell them? Like, why don't you do them and yourself and the police a favor? And if you see something, say something, but say it to them. Like, if you say, hey, buddy, I would like you to get a couple more feet away from me, or please be more considerate, or just worry about yourself. Like, worry about yourself getting far away. We don't need a bunch of... No, actually, now that I think about it, this was people calling into Mayor Garcetti's presentation. Like, we don't need a bunch of tattletales right now. We're not there. God forbid. I'm like seeing whiffs of fascism and government takeover of industry and things like that, and people informing on one another would be the worst thing we could do. But just please earn everybody's trust. If you're a business that does not have to be open right now, close your doors just to stop the spread of the virus. And God willing, we'll have some support, community support. Your customers, if you, God willing, you can stay in business. Your customers will be back in droves because they'll be excited to be out of the house. I tell you what. But Gomer Pyle, citizens arrest. Oh my goodness, it's a citizens arrest. Let's see what else is going on here. I'm an essential worker, so I'm still trying to decide to go to work or take time off. Let's see. Sounds like now 64. Sounds like my house on Shabbat. Naya Shashi says I work as a chef cook at Whole Foods, which is considered essential, but we're not cooking, just cleaning. So, like I said, I'm pretty sure the Time Person of the Year is going to be a grocery store checker or stocker or somebody, because you're getting us through this right now. Triggers and Viv says, I have a friend who owns a funeral home. We had our first victim who had the virus, but the family decided to let the media know first before the funeral home. There are absolutely people doing their jobs that have come into contact with the remains. So Kay Dixie says, I think PJTC only shares live links with those on their email list. Maybe that will change. I'll say if you're on the email list, I'll ask forgiveness for this later. If you're on the email list and you have that link and you want to share it here, please do. So, Naya Shashi or Kay Dixie, if you have that link and you want to share it here, we would love it if people would join us for services. So, yeah, and if you want to get on the PJTC list, all you got to do is go to our website, pjtc.net, because we're .net for some reason, and for my time. So pjtc.net, sign up for our email list. You'll hear about all the stuff that I'm up to, certainly. Triggers and Biff says, I'm sorry if I'm focusing on the hairdresser job. That's my livelihood, but there are others. Like, everybody's got to, no, don't be sorry. I'm just telling people, like, no regrets. No regrets right now. Like, nobody has anything to be sorry about right now, unless you're building a house out of toilet paper, in which case, so. Actually, when I got into the Smart and Final this morning, the only toilet paper they had was like the giant roll for restaurants and businesses. So I got one. So I'm not bragging, but that's any port in a storm. Let's see, things to do in quarantine, self or otherwise. Many national parks have virtual tours, as do museums. That's pretty cool. That's a good resource. Naya Shashi, thank you, Rabbi John, and Triggers and Viv. Please don't be sorry if it's your livelihood. Totally understandable to be concerned. Like, absolutely. I'll just say this. I have never seen more rabbis on Facebook Live than I have in the last week, or Zoom, or some other live streaming thing. Probably because Facebook Live is the easiest to get on. I want to savor some irony here for a bit now that I've caught up in the chat. So a couple of years ago, I made a really hard decision. I was working at a synagogue with people that I loved, doing work that I loved, and I also had this hankering to teach Torah online. And I did. I decided I was going to go full time and do that. So I was full time teaching Torah on live streaming video and Zoom 2 years ago. And while I was doing that, I kind of picked up an odd job at a synagogue in Pasadena. And so I was still mostly working online, but every other Shabbat I would be there helping out. And then that, they picked up more and more responsibilities there. And then yesterday, I had this realization. I've spent my entire day teaching Torah or having meetings online. I'm back. and I want to give a shout out to all the rabbis out there, cantors, teachers of all kinds, at least in my line of work, but this goes for other teachers as well. I want to give a shout out to all the rabbis who are doing the brave thing and showing your face live online. It is a kind of a hump to get over, I'll say, and doing that, sharing your Torah the best you can with what you have, and God bless you for having the time. I want to say that I have, like I said, if I don't know how to put this. I love teaching online. I've barely been doing it in the last couple of weeks because of all the other decisions that I've had to make and all the other things that I've had to do. So you will see more of me live streaming like this. I wanted to keep committed to Fun Friday. And before I took on a lot of work at Pasadena, I was doing, I guess maybe a year ago, I was doing live streams every single day on YouTube. And so stay tuned, people, because what I want to do, and I'm going to do this in partnership with PJTC, with their permission, of course. Hope so. I'll have to ask for that later. is there. I want to move to be doing more of these. We've hung on to Friday, not been live streaming other parts of the week, but I think you're going to see a lot more live streaming shows on Twitch. It may be on this channel. We may set up a PJTC Twitch channel. I have to ask the right people to make sure it's okay if we do that. But so stay tuned. And if you're on my email list, you'll hear about it. If you're on this format, you'll hear about it. But very soon, there's going to be a lot more live video coming from me talking about Jewish stuff for the Jew curious people, but also for anybody else who's interested. So let's see. We're going to look at a couple of things. I wanted to play Zelda, but there's a couple of chores I got to go do. Heard the pet stores and grooming places are open, so Viv will stay beautiful. Nice. KG Wilcox says, I'm glad my cats are self-grooming. Triggers of she's so sick of me, maybe it would be a break for her. So, very good. KG Wilcox says, there's no TP anywhere around here. She also says, our cantor is doing FB Live of his dinner prep. Right? That's one way to get together. I don't know if anybody saw Jimmy Fallon did a great bit doing his show from his house and his graphics department being his 6-year-old and also his band and audience. So let's see what else is going on. I'm going to see if I can find this link. If anybody who sees the PJTC posted in the Jewcurious School forum, yeah, there's another great resource for folks. I'll just share this with you, and I'll try to find a link for you. We have something called the Jewcurious Community Center. This is a Facebook group. So just go to Facebook, look for Jewcurious. That's how we spell the show. Community Center. And it's a private group. I do it just so I can really moderate the discussions that happen there and keep the weirdos out, keep the mean people out. But if you want to sign up for that and you're not already in it, really important, when it says join this group, it'll ask you 2 questions. And I only let in people who answer those 2 questions with the right answers. But a lot of people just click, hey, join this group, and don't answer the questions. I do not let them in because it says right there, answer these 2 questions. And all I want is you to give me your email address. I don't use that. I just use it as sort of a screening tool for people who, if you're going to be in our community and share things or comment on other people's stuff, you need to give us a little bit of information just to verify who you are. So I ask people for their email address, and again, I don't send spam to the people who sign up there. It's just kind of a hurdle, just a little gate. It's your password, and then you have to say yes to a little question that says, I agree not to use this form to spam people, right? I have to be polite. Don't come on there selling essential oils or COVID cures or whatever, and anybody who does will be immediately banned. So anyway, go to Jewcurious Community Center on Facebook, join the group, answer the 2 questions, and you will be welcomed in. Bunch of super nice people there, and we'll then I'm going to find that link to our live streaming services and put that there. You might be able to find it on the PJTC Facebook group as well, or look for Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center on Facebook. We probably have the link there. So listen, gang. I know I said it was Fun Friday. I've had fun hanging out with you, hearing people's concerns. I think I actually need to sign off a little bit early today. So I've got my phone's lighting up with various things from the synagogue, and I'm going to need to go. But listen, everybody, stay safe. Check on each other. Watch for more live streams coming soon. And like I've often said in the last couple of weeks, I don't know how we're going to get through this. But I do know it's going to be together. So Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Shabbat Shalom, and have a Sabbath of peace and good health. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this amazing supportive community. I love how everybody here supports each other, and whatever resources you have to share or want to find resources out there. What do we have? Oh, found it. Naya Shashi, just real quick, found it. Naya Shashi just shared the link. It's like venue.streamspot. That's the link for the PJTC thing. So I'm still going to put it in the community center. Join the community center to get that link, or go to the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center Facebook page or website might have it. But Naya Shashi just shared the link in the chat, so that should be there. Let's see. Love to all stay safe, says KG Wilcox. K Dixie, so grateful for this opportunity to hang out. Triggers and Viv, okay, love you all. I'm gonna go hug the heck out of you when all this is over. It's gonna be like Hands Across America, man, when this thing is over. Not to diss the movie Us, which I thought was a great movie, but remember Hands Across America? I think I think that was the whole point of that movie. Remember Hands Across America? So that's going to happen. And once again, a peaceful Sabbath to everybody. Everybody be in good health. Everybody check on each other and pray for each other, and share your toilet paper. So with that, I finally made my wife laugh. It's after 12 years, I finally made her laugh. That's right. So I'm going to post this on Facebook a little bit later today, just to close with a funny. Finish this sentence. Honey, I got back from the store. There was no toilet paper, but I found the next best thing. Dot dot dot. So I'll give you a little homework to finish that sentence on your own. And with that, blessings of health and peace to everyone. Shabbat shalom. And I'm out. Until next time, heroes. Peace.